Call this meeting to order of our regularly scheduled board meeting. And our first item of business is Pledge of Allegiance. And we will have to do this sadly without our students for the next couple of months. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I could ask everyone what their favorite lunch item is still. Cheese sticks is a solid go-to. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved, Garcia.
All right. Second?
Second, Boardman.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We have 3 meeting minutes. And if there are no changes, I would like to have a motion to approve for items 1.4 to 1.6.
So move, Boardman.
All right. Second?
Second, Alfie.
All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And that brings us to our superintendent's report, communication items. Dr. Hubbard.
Yeah, thank you. School has concluded for students and summer vacation has begun since the last time we had a Board of Education meeting. May was such an exciting month as we celebrated accomplishments and next steps across the district. One event at the very top of the list of highlights last month was graduation. It was so thrilling to see more than 1,700 graduates walk across the stage. We congratulate everyone who achieved this milestone, and I want to extend a big thank you to all of our students for an amazing school year, and I want to thank our staff and community for all the ways they went above and beyond to provide our students the best possible education. This school year was definitely a time to shine. We also want to congratulate all of our Shawnee Mission athletes who had a fantastic spring season. I have a few shout-outs to mention. The Shawnee Mission East boys tennis team was state runner-up, and recent graduates George Call and Gregor Weideman were state champions in tennis state doubles. We also had several individual state champions in track and field. Alexis Phillips, Shawnee Mission North recent graduate, was the pole vault champion. Raja Curtis, a Shawnee Mission North recent graduate, was champion in long jump and triple jump. Max Larson, Shawnee Mission South incoming senior, was champion in the 3,200-meter run. This spring, we had 1,887 high school students participate in sports, and we are also proud that we added 313 middle school girls and boys soccer athletes. Congratulations to all of our students, coaches, and schools on all of your personal and team accomplishments this season. We want to remind the community that free summer meals are available to all children ages 1 through 18, regardless of whether they are students in the district. Meals will be available on Monday through Friday from June 3rd to June 26th from 11:30 to 12:30 at specific locations. Please note, lunch bunch will not be available on June 19th, July 4th, and July 5th. We'll include a link in the recap with more information and a list of all of the locations serving lunch this summer. For all kindergartners starting this fall, we have a wonderful opportunity to help get these students ready for school in July called Jumpstart. This is a 3-week summer program for incoming kindergarten students, and there are still spots available. This program is designed to provide incoming kindergarten students an opportunity to practice literacy, numeracy, and the skills of being a student before their first day of school. Any incoming kindergarten student can apply to attend. The deadline to apply is June the 14th. We will include a link in the recap of this meeting so that we email so that all staff and families can check that out. Olivia Garza, a recent graduate at Shawnee Mission South, is a National PTA Reflections Contest honoree. Garza received Outstanding Interpretation honors for a film production called After Tragedy and was recognized for this honor at a Spring State PTA Awards and Arts ceremony. Reflections is a national PTA opportunity that provides students from pre-K through 12th grade to submit original works of art in a variety of mediums to interpret a theme. This year the theme was, I Am Hopeful Because. Congratulations to Olivia on this fantastic achievement. I'm proud that we have wrapped up our full season of Shawnee Mission Mic'd Up. the Shawnee Mission School District's podcast. In our final episode of the season, we reflected on our favorite moments and talked to the new host for Season 2. I want to thank Dr. Jeremy Higgins, Director of Secondary Human Resources, for joining me as the co-host this first season. Stay tuned for Season 2 coming back in August. We'll include a link to recap for anyone wanting to listen, download, and catch up on the first season during the summer. And that concludes my superintendent report.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hubbard. Was that a little sad doing your last podcast?
It was a little sad, but it was super fun also.
Good. Sorry, I should have led with that. Okay, we have 3 discussion items for this evening. The first one is on the Health Services Program Report, item 3.1. I'll go back to you, Dr. Hubbard.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Christy Ziegler, who supervises our Coordinator of Health Services, Paula Bundy, and let her do some introductions.
Well, good evening, everyone. Madam President, Vice President, and members of the Board of Education. Thank you for supporting our time to share information on our health services team and the work that they do. Much of the work that the team does is often behind the scenes and requires great confidentiality because we're working with health information. So many do not realize the scope of the work that occurs across our health rooms and with our nurses and nurses' aides throughout the district. So we hope this gives you a little insight into what our team does daily to help support our students in being healthy, safe, and in the classroom learning. Paula Bundy is with us this evening, and I'm going to turn over to her as we connect first to the strategic plan. So our connection here in health services with the strategic plan is we help support by ensuring students have access to highly qualified health professionals that are supporting student and staff health and wellness each day. And we support the strategic plan beliefs that the thriving community meets the basic physical, social, and emotional needs of its members, and that safe and caring relationships are absolutely essential for learning and growth. So Paula will share more about what has occurred in 23-24 with our team.
Great, thank you. So our mission is to provide professional nursing care to students and staff through assessment, prevention, health education, early intervention, case management, and collaboration. SMSD registered nurses provide crisis intervention for acute illness and emergencies, perform health assessments and screenings, administer medication, and provide first aid. Our school nurses provide building leadership and coordinating health management protocols for all students, promoting safe school environments, educating students, staff, and parents about current and emerging health issues, and promoting medical research and practice used to support positive health behaviors within the district and our community. Our program goals are to enhance student well-being by providing a professional registered nurse in every building every day. Our nurses care for students' health and safety needs and promote student health, school attendance, and classroom engagement. We provide professional nursing, care for chronic disease management, urgent care, and emergent care for potential medical emergencies. We also aim to provide life-saving training, education, and tools to SMSD employees in the form of monthly CPR classes, hands-only CPR for building staff upon request, and training for staff on the health conditions for their students, the signs to watch for, and when to contact the building nurse. This includes training and delegating student care for staff accompanying students on field trips. Finally, we collaborate with community agencies to improve the health and well-being for our students. The health services team is comprised of 50 registered nurses, 17 nurse aides, and 1 licensed practical nurse. Those nurse positions include me as the coordinator, a nurse in each of the 34 elementary schools, plus a nurse dedicated to the Lenexa Hills ALC program, and a one-to-one nurse at East Antioch, a nurse at each of the middle and high schools, as well as nurses at Arrowhead and the Early Childhood Center. The 17 nurse aides are assigned to each of the middle schools and all high schools except Horizons. We also have nurse aides at Apache, Oak Park Carpenter, and Rose Hill based on acuity. We have a one-to-one nurse aide and a nurse aide in Post High at South, and 2 half-time float nurse aides for the elementary schools. This year, we have added a licensed practical nurse to the ALC program at Westridge, and we'll add another to our high school ALC program next year. In collaboration with the special education team, we also provide one-to-one agency nurses to those students whose complex medical conditions require such care. Throughout the district, we have 5 such nurses. We utilize Kelly Education Services for our nurse absences. With an increase in their pay, we've secured more substitute nurses, but still have gaps in coverage. This was the 4th and final year that we've utilized ESSER funds to contract with Maxim for float nurses. They have greatly helped it to fill short and long-term nurse absences, as well as help with student health screenings and assisting in buildings with higher acuity. Next year, 3 SMSD float nurses will help fill those gaps, and we are very grateful for the funding of those important positions. Each year during online verification, we ask parents to report new health conditions and provide updates on current conditions for their students. This helps our nurses prepare to provide appropriate care to students while they're in school. This year we had 38,055 active health conditions monitored by our school health professionals. These health issues range from minor concerns such as seasonal allergies to life-threatening conditions requiring daily assessment and intervention. Examples of more serious conditions include type 1 diabetes, cardiac conditions, seizure disorders, respiratory issues, and gastric tubes for nutrition and medication. As you can see, the condition that is most prevalent is asthma, with nearly 3,000 students. This condition varies widely, with some having mild symptoms and others needing nearly daily nursing assessment and rescue medication. Over 2,000 have a diagnosis of anxiety. This can present to the nurse in many ways, including increased frequency in headaches and stomach aches, as well as panic attacks. Our health rooms provide a safe space for students. Allergies also make up a large number of health conditions, and over 500 of the students with an allergy has the potential for anaphylaxis, a life-threatening reaction. In addition, sometimes this condition occurs for the first time at school, which is why it is so important that we stock epinephrine in all of our nurses' offices. For our students with seizures and diabetes, we have seen many new technologies introduced to help manage these diseases. Our nurses are continually learning how to utilize the treatments ordered by the medical providers for our students. Our health rooms are busy places. We average 1,000 visits throughout the district each day. The chart shows that during August, December, and January, we had fewer days of school, which corresponded with lower total visits. High pollen counts in September and October, as well as from February through the end of the school year, contribute to many nurse visits to help alleviate symptoms. From late fall through the spring, we saw a variety of respiratory and gastrointestinal illnesses, although a bit lower than we have seen in the past few years. As with last year, we've continued to see an increase in chronic disease diagnoses, as well as mental, emotional, and behavioral health diagnoses. Nurses play a vital role in helping students navigate and manage these chronic conditions. In addition, nurses see students and staff members with injuries, from minor to serious and requiring a 911 call. Nurses use the data from injury visits to help target areas of improvement, from helping students learn to navigate new playground equipment more safely, to identifying workplace hazards for staff members. Immunization, documentation, and compliance has been a focus for our nurses since the pandemic, when many primary care providers rightfully prioritized ill visits over preventive care visits, causing many to miss important vaccinations. In most of the required immunizations, Shawnee Mission students are ahead of their Kansas peers. And although there's been an increased discussion of legal exemptions for immunizations at a state level, in Shawnee Mission, our rate of exemptions has not significantly changed since 2019. As one of the 3 co-chairs for the District Wellness Committee, I've worked with our team to update our wellness plan. A number of components were part of the plan pre-pandemic, but during that time, much of the plan was sidelined for more emergent needs. Since regrouping, our committee of students, parents, principals, and district administrators have brought great ideas to the table to promote student and staff member wellness. The key components include nutrition, nutrition promotion and education, physical activity, integrated school-based wellness, and social-emotional well-being. Our focus in the coming year is to promote the information in the plan to help facilitate well-being. Some of the items are based on federal and state requirements, such as the Smart Snacks guidelines for school stores and fundraising. Others encourage wellness, such as promoting non-food rewards and celebrations, exploring opportunities for periodic movement in the classroom throughout the school day, and promoting social, emotional knowledge and skills. We're excited to see more of these initiatives incorporated in our schools in the coming year. And Health Services collaborates with numerous community partners. These include Health Partnership Clinic, both with our clinic at Shawnee Mission West and dental screenings provided in our Title I schools. The Shawnee Wellness Hub, hosting Saturday activities and resources for our families at Shawnee and Trail Ridge, with Advent Health Shawnee Mission providing resources for students to receive no-cost physicals and immunizations. As part of our Jewel Settlement Plan, KU and Children's Mercy have partnered with us on tobacco treatment and cessation resources. Finally, ACRUX KC, formerly the Baptist Trinity Lutheran Legacy Foundation, continues to grant us funds to promote student wellness. This year, we received funding for additional AEDs to support our expanded outdoor middle school athletics, new audiometers for our required hearing screenings, and asthma inhaler chambers to give students who use inhalers at school but may not have a chamber, which greatly improves the distribution of the medication to the lungs to more effectively treat their asthma symptoms. In the coming year, ACRUX KC has given us funds to train 4 staff members as trainers in youth mental health first aid, as well as funding to begin training our Shawnee Mission School District staff in youth mental health first aid. We hope to continue that funding in subsequent years to train more staff on an ongoing basis, which aligns with the upcoming Strategic Plan Strategy 5 focus on mental health. That's all I have. Thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much. I'm going to look to, okay, all right. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, thanks so much for that. I want to first express my gratitude for nurses in our buildings. I became close with my nurse at Shawnee Mission North back in the day, and I'm very grateful for her. Quick question about some of the health conditions and how we address those. Not necessarily how we address them. My question is, are there, and I hesitate to use this term, but support groups for families that, with kiddos with specific needs that might feel isolated in their schools, just not having anybody else? Maybe their kiddo has type 1 or has cancer, but nobody else in the school does. Are there groups that we facilitate here in Shawnee Mission that can provide some of that support, extra support that those families might need?
You know, there's not, but that's definitely something that I would consider looking into. Sure. Many of our students who have pretty significant diagnoses are seen through Children's Mercy, and often through Children's Mercy they have groups like that, and we can refer them. Yeah. But I think it is helpful if they know that there are other students and parents in their school who have similar things.
Got it. Thank you.
Mr. Westbrook?
Yeah, I do. I want to join Mario Garcia in thanking you for your service. You know, school nurses are extraordinary people, and the kind of things that we see now and then as pedestrians with kids who don't have special needs are things that are seen by nurses, and they have to be really familiar with so many different complex issues. So the challenges, the stresses, the pressures that are on them, I think are pretty significant. And I really want to commend you for giving us such a comprehensive report. Do we have any problems these days recruiting nurses? Are we having a challenge? I know we've had challenges in so many areas, but do we have issues finding people to come to work for us? And
there are times we do. We've had openings from time to time. And we're competing against healthcare providers who can provide better benefits and salary, but ultimately we fill our positions and people are very happy to be here.
Dr. Ziegler, can you talk real quickly, or Paula, about our contract with Maxim? Like, we're using that for floating nurses, is that correct?
We have used our contract for float nurses, but then this year, coming forward, we'll be employing 3 float nurse positions as part of our district operations.
So no longer contracting, correct?
Not for the float nurse positions. We still maintain relationship with Maxim for some of our special education positions, and some of that could fall under nursing at times.
And we mostly use floats due to a lack of the ability to get subs, correct?
Correct.
Yes. And again, our sub pool increased last year. We were very excited about that. Unfortunately, a lot of our sub nurses work in additional jobs, and so they may not be available every day or to pick up a long-term sub job. But we have seen an improvement in our Kelly Services subs.
Mr. Garcia?
Another quick question. This might be, I'm trying to think of how to say this. If a lot of diagnoses are happening kind of in real time, and maybe a nurse will find out that one of their students has something that they don't know how to address. That's not what I mean. I'm sure they do, but if it's new to the building, new to them, is there a continuing educational opportunities for those folks to learn more about that and address that how they need to, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So there are a number of opportunities in the summer that are available to our nurses. We partner with Children's Mercy on many initiatives, and one of those things, Children's Mercy does a free summer conference. It's a one-day program, and actually nurses get to go and test out new diabetic pumps. They get to test out new feeding tube pumps. They get to try different things so that if it's something they haven't experienced in a while, they get that opportunity. Because the other thing they're doing is training staff members who are in the classroom to help identify situations as well. But we also can collaborate with Children's Mercy on a one-to-one basis. So if we have something new, we can connect directly with that clinic, and we can have a nurse in that clinic work with one of our building nurses so that they can help them get up to speed on what those needs might be. We've even had staff from a clinic at Children's Mercy come to train not only the nurse and the nurse aide, but also some paraeducators in the classroom about tracheostomy suctioning, which is something we can delegate, but it's a very complex technique, and so we can get that expertise from Children's Mercy.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Ms. Ousley?
I just have a quick question, and you might not have an answer for it because it's not necessarily related to us specifically, but I read the EpiPen section, personal interest, and I was curious that it noted that if an EpiPen was used, a district EpiPen was used, it's very difficult or very costly to replace because pharmacies don't want to fill prescriptions to the districts themselves. And so I was just curious what or why, or like what is the root of that? Like what, I mean, obviously it's
right.
important.
I wish I knew, but I encountered that last year when trying to get a new prescription. And we have a prescriber that gives us our prescriptions. But yes, places like Walgreens will only prescribe to an individual, not to an entity. But independent pharmacies are more likely to prescribe to an entity. So, but their costs are 3 times higher than a storefront. Okay. So it's something that, you know, we continue to investigate and find other avenues.
Thank you. It was just a point of curiosity. I know it's not our ability to fix.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
just
the basis of that. I'm sure there's something having to do with insurance companies and parent companies and, you know, corporate bureaucracy.
Well, for the 4 people who had the district EpiPen utilized, I'm sure they're very appreciative that you've gone to the effort to get it. So thank you.
Thanks.
I have a quick question, and Ms. Embry, if you have one, I'll jump in and give you another minute to. Okay. I appreciate the numbers. Just it puts it in perspective. We have 27,000 students, roughly in there, and we have 38,000 active conditions, right? Well above the number of students, and then almost 200,000 visits to the health office. So I think that's really powerful to think about that in relation to the number of students we have. and all the work and support that our health offices staff do to help our students stay engaged in school and to be active learners. And so kind of minimize those barriers. So that I greatly appreciate that. And then I also I really appreciate also seeing the KU Medical Center and Children's Mental Health partnership with the tobacco treatment and cessation. So with that, I know one of the things when that first really came up, we wanted to be able to see a component of that focused on the treatment. We have kiddos who are getting, who are heavily addicted to the nicotine from the use of those applications of tobacco. And so I think it's really important that we have those pieces in there. And so mostly a comment more than a question, but thank you very much.
Certainly.
And I have a comment and a question. As a board member, parent, member of a underserved population group, these numbers are overwhelming, and I'm not even in healthcare. So I do applaud all that the nurses and support and those in and outside of the classroom do for our students across the district. I was a child, I had childhood asthma. And so that top number is very alarming to me. It is, but it isn't. But the question was, you talked about a chamber. Can you, where are those? Are they?
Sure. Yes.
How strategic are we with placing those?
So when we received the grant and we purchased those, we housed them here, and then any nurse could request them, and we just sent them out. They saw a student who had an inhaler. They weren't able to get a chamber because maybe insurance only covers one, or they have to divide it among different places, or insurance doesn't cover it, or they don't have that. So we would just send it out to the building, and they would give it to the student to use at school. So not a lot of red tape involved. We got those out very quickly. And we were very excited because truly the research does show, and as an adult who still has asthma and uses my chamber when I'm serious about it, it makes a difference.
Yeah, I spent many hours in the nurse's office growing up, so this is very personal for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that is it for our questions. And I appreciate too the looking ahead. I like that part of the section of the report too, so thank you. All right.
Thank you, Nurse
Thanks so
Paula. Yeah. Dr. Ziegler, thank you.
Okay, our next program report is on transportation, item 3.2. Dr. Hubbard.
So again, I'm going to pass it back to Dr. Ziegler for transportation.
And we are ready to roll, pun intended. So we appreciate the additional time and focus to share another aspect of student services, and that's our transportation update. So I have some friends, some colleagues that are making their way up to join us this evening. I'll introduce Dana Gulick, our Coordinator of Transportation for Shawnee Mission School District, at the podium. Martha Coleman is with us this evening. She is our DS Bus Contract Manager for Shawnee Mission. She is the person in the bus office that is running all the day-to-day operations for our district and in close communication with Dana. And then BJ Garcia is with us this evening. He is the Division Manager for DS Bus Lines and over our region. So we are grateful for their time this evening. Also with us in the boardroom tonight, I also am grateful that we have Chris Hain, who is the President of Assisted Transportation, and Scott Flores, who is the Vice President of Operations. These people that are here this evening are our contract providers that make up the transportation operations for our district. So they help support our day-to-day operations, our routing, our scheduling, getting kids to and from school, and all of the shuttling and field trips that happen outside of the AM/PM route time, which there are a lot of moving parts to transportation. So we're grateful that they're joining us and will be contributing this evening. Our connection to the strategic plan for transportation, specifically, we as a team support the strategic plan objectives by ensuring that students have a safe and reliable transportation system to travel to and from school each day, and providing the ability to physically access the resources they need to be successful in college and career readiness. Furthermore, we support the beliefs that a thriving community meets the basic physical, social, and emotional needs of members, and that safe and caring relationships are absolutely essential for learning and growth. Safe and supportive relationships do extend beyond the walls of our schools and our classrooms, and those include those safe caring relationships that are exhibited by our support team, including our bus drivers, our van drivers, and our aides that are part of those day-to-day transports and interacting with our students and families through the district transportation services. So Dana will now share an update on 23-24 transportation services.
Thank you, Dr. Ziegler. There are 4 goals related to transportation: safety, reliability, efficiency, and continued evaluation of ways to improve customer service and increase sustainability. The program report was built around data to help inform our work in these key areas to ensure the transportation program is meeting the needs of students and families while also being mindful of safety, efficiency, budget, and sustainability. Transportation is available for schools with attendance boundaries beyond the 2.5 statutory requirement. Those living under 2.5 miles may enroll pay riders to existing routes when seats are available. Schools with no attendance boundaries beyond the 2.5 mile statutory requirement must meet the 50 pay contracts to offer busing unless a variant zone has been identified. Students who qualify for the federal meal program are able to enroll to ride an existing route at no cost. All riders must be enrolled to ride the bus. This helps maintain accurate rosters for bus riders as well as schools. It also supports safety and communication in the event of an emergency. Special education transportation is determined by the IEP team when necessary to support the student's ability to access services. For 2024-25, this may include students accepted via out-of-district transfer who require transportation. The district provides transportation through agreements with contracted providers. Currently, our yellow bus service is provided through DS Bus Lines. Parents enroll students for regular bus service directly through DS Bus Lines. DS is responsible for enrollment, fee collection, and routing for all bus service. In addition to regular education routes, they support special education requests for individual students coordinated through the district office and special education team. This is initiated through communication from the student's case manager to the school. DS Bus then contacts the parents directly to provide pickup, drop-off, and bus information prior to the start of school. Assisted transportation is responsible for transporting our students who require alternative transportation beyond the school boundaries in the case of our McKinney-Vento qualified students, those in foster care, and in some cases, special education students that require a different transportation option due to their individual needs. In the case of special education transportation, each route is assigned a driver and an aide to support the students. For families who qualify, we also support parent reimbursement for special education transportation and McKinney-Vento. Contracted providers complete routing once we have students enrolled for bus service. Considerations are given based on the number of enrolled riders, ride times, traffic, and safety variances. We push communication to parents and guardians through the summer months to remind parents to enroll for busing and offer an early pay discount because the earlier we start to receive the enrollments, routes can be developed and ready to run on the first day of school. As more students enroll later, it impacts riders as routes and stops have to be updated due to increased riders over time. The bus company strives to keep route times to a minimum for riders. Our goal is to try to keep the maximum ride time for students to 45 minutes or less. This year, we had 79 regular education routes and 58 special education routes. This totals to 137 routes, which is comparable to the previous year. In addition to regular and special education routes, DS Bus transported students for field trips and activities throughout the year. 1,845 trips were scheduled. We transported 5,238 students for the 2023-24 school year. The data indicates the number of elementary, middle, and high school regular education and morning-afternoon riders. We saw a noted decline in riders enrolled in the 2020-21 school year, likely due to concerns from the pandemic. Over the last 3 years, we've witnessed a gradual increase in those accessing transportation. 530 students qualified for special education transportation this year. The data indicates the breakdown of students across elementary, middle, and high school special education services. We transport the largest number of learners in elementary programs, including early childhood services. Additionally, we provide special education shuttle transportation for students receiving services in our schools who attend private and parochial schools within the district boundaries. I'll let BJ handle this slide.
So the slide you're looking at now is our on-time performance. So DS Bus Lines this past school year, we implemented some dispatch technology that allows us to get a first look and first glance at some on-time performance metrics. As you can see here, our on-time performance, our late performance is the one that we really focus on, which is at 7.5%. Obviously, we'd like to be at 100% on on-time performance. When you deal with machines and people, sometimes that's not 100% possible, but we're going to continue to strive to work to that. We were talking about how many students that the nurses saw. I just did real quick here. If we had 5,700 kids that we transport twice a day over 172 days, probably 1.9 million trips, somewhere around there, that we run on an annual basis. So we're working to improve that, but we do have some technology in place now that we can start tracking that better.
Next slide. Transportation support is available for students who qualify for the federal McKinney-Vento program and also for students in foster care. Transportation costs for these two program areas is a considerable amount of the budget with little to no federal or state funding to support the requirement. Current data provides an overview of the last 5 years. We typically see McKinney-Vento and foster transportation requests start small at the start of the year and grow steadily throughout. The numbers fluctuate month to month with movement in our students and families.
So I'll also address this slide. So we have 3 years of data here just from our May employee counts as to drivers, monitors, and monitors are the attendants or folks who ride on the special needs buses with the driver. You can see we've had a regression in our number, but that has not deterred us. We continue to cover every route. Sometimes they run a little late, as evidenced by our on-time performance, but we continue to run routes. We continue to strive to recruit. We have hired some changes that we've had recently. We've hired a full-time recruiter for Shawnee Mission. So that person is on board with us. We're offering recruitment bonuses, or referral bonuses, I should say, to our employees of $2,500 for every employee they refer to us, driver employee they refer to us. We're offering the sign-on bonus to our prospective applicants of $2,000 if they come to us with a CDL and a school bus permit. We offer $1,000 for non-CDL. We're offering now paid training, which we didn't offer in the past. Once they completed the training, then we'd pay them, but now we're going to pay them through training. We're just reevaluating our program to make it more attractive to folks. We also are we just concluded our collective bargaining agreement negotiations with the Teamsters. We're going to see a significant pay increase to our drivers, and we hope that'll help address some of the driver staffing needs that we have. Martha and her team are working hard. I thank them for everything that they do. We've had a number of interviews. We have a class of 10 that's scheduled to start next Monday. We hope to add, we got 10 more interviews last week and maybe a few more this week. So maybe we'll add another 5 to that class. So we're progressing in the right direction. Hopefully out of that 10 to 15, we get, half of that become drivers. And so we're progressing the right way. We have a lot of wheels in motion. We attended the Old Shawnee Days this week, handed out flyers. We were at the Turkey Day celebration, handing out flyers. We're out on the streets with our bus banner, parking, and just kind of guerrilla recruiting, if you will, trying to get people to sign up. So we are definitely making the effort to get to where we need to be.
Thank you, BJ. You want to address this one?
Sure. So I'll take some of this slide, maybe not all of it, but a lot of the comments on here, I think, are reflective of our staffing. and where we are. So in addition to our drivers that drive, Martha and her staff are also out there on a daily basis. If we don't have enough coverage, they're driving routes. And so that affects our ability to answer the phones correctly. It means the routers are not there routing 8 hours a day. It means they're probably driving for 6 and working in the office for another 4 or 5 hours a day. So typically Martha and her staff are putting in a 10 to 12 hour day to get everything done. But some of that stuff, some of the communication stuff we're working on, our goal this year is to not have any staff drive so that everybody can do their job effectively. We can monitor the safety on the streets. We can answer the phones. We can get to the routing. We can get to the emails in a quicker fashion. You know, we talk about our retention rate and how we keep drivers. And so we've done a great job this year of keeping the folks that we have. Kansas is a state that does not allow drivers to collect unemployment over the summer. And so our ability to make contact with them over the summer is important. Martha's got a drive-in event that she's going to host at the lot for the employees to bring their families. We're going to do a picnic in the park and a couple other things to touch base with them. But anything we can do to not have to replace anybody is a plus for us. So we continue to do that. On there also is a comment about safety of buses. We have enhanced our onboard camera system, so we now have AI technology on the bus for driver coaching. And so the technology is such that it can see, hey, driver, your seatbelt's not fastened. 2 hands on the wheel. You didn't come to a complete stop. It'll coach them through the drive, and then it'll also send alerts to the staff that, hey, we got to pull that driver in after route and talk to them about their speed, their stopping, their following distance, whatever. For us, we're self-insured, so it makes sense for us to do that, but for the public and for the students, it's a true safety win for everybody. And so that technology is now on board all of our buses. We had that installed around the first of the year, and so we've continued to see those improvements as that goes forward. Our communication is also enhanced. Our parent company is called Beacon Mobility. So Diaz was sold. So Beacon Mobility, though, has a new platform, communication platform out called Beacon Connect, which is a platform that will allow great communication between the vendor, us, the customer, the school district, and the parent. And so it'll allow us to get routing requests, video requests, incident reports, messages. And at some point in time, I believe within the next year, we will also have, everybody's been looking for this, is student tracking information, right? So we'll be able to tell parents where your student is. Right now we funnel, and we've updated our routing system this summer. And so we funnel all that information from the routing system. It goes into Skyward, the SIS system, so it should show in there as to where your student's bus stop is. But this onboard technology that we'll be having, hopefully by the end of next school year, if not sooner, Dr. Ziegler and Dana have been great partners with us. They were our pilot for a lot of the Beacon Connect stuff that we rolled out, gave us great feedback on what the holes in the system were. And so I'm sure as we get the student tracking, we'll be one of the first ones to sign up to, hey, we'll try it and pilot it here. So we have some things coming down the pipe that I think are going to be very helpful to us provide a better service to the Shawnee Mission community.
Okay, thank you. I just want to add a thank you to our parents and our administrators and our teachers who completed the survey. We had over 690 responses, and that was the most robust participation I think I have seen in my time with transportation. So I am grateful for those that participated and shared their feedback. And we look forward to that continued feedback in the future. We want to thank our transportation team, including Ms. Gulick, BJ, Martha, and our friends from Assisted who are here tonight, for the work in reporting and sharing the story of transportation and elevating some of the challenges that we all know are part of transportation across our nation right now. We're grateful for the continued efforts of our contractors to recruit and retain the drivers. People are our greatest resource, and they continue to work hard to support our operations for those students who rely on the service in getting to and from school each day. I also want to express our gratitude to our school teams, our principals, our office team members who take calls and also help us communicate with families, as well as families and those teachers, particularly in our special education programs. Because they truly are partners in supporting our drivers and our aides in getting to know the unique attributes of our scholars so that they can have smooth transitions from school to the bus to home each day. So we value all of those vital people in our system. We're committed to continue to work with our contractors as well as our schools to include the improved communications that were indicated in the survey data, explore ways to increase sustainability within our fleet. We've started some of those conversations and continue to look at resources that would be possible for us in the future. And I also want to say that we are looking at how to plan better for contingencies. I don't know about you, but I still remember August and those heat days that we went through at the start of last school year. So having a plan for those days should they return. Again, tonight we thank you for your time, your attention. You always ask great questions, so we are pleased to share our story, and we're happy to answer any additional questions you might have for us.
Thank you all for that report and update. Okay, I'm gonna look. Yes, Ms. Boyd-Norena. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Westbrook.
Well, it's very easy for us to overlook transportation service because, and I say this with commendation, it's an unremarkable service, and we want it to be unremarkable. We want the day to go without controversy, without accident, without hazard, without any kind of problem that would affect the safety and well-being of our kids. And you travel thousands of miles a year. You do it in rain, you do it in snow, you do it on a good day. You have people who are driving the buses who are responsible, take care of kids, and it happens. And it's sort of like the school food service program. One of the biggest restaurants in the community is our school cafeteria program. One of the biggest transportation services in the community is the business we run with school buses. And we do it in an unremarkable way because it's done well. And I really want to commend you for that. It is not a sexy part of our business. It doesn't teach kids, does it? It doesn't deal with history or grammar or some of the other issues that we try to address in the classroom, but you make it happen. And I think we need to tip our hat to you for that kind of quality. It's hard work, and the logistics stuff is particularly hard, and I'm really excited that we have the modern computer technology enabling us to monitor those logistical issues so that the use of our buses can be efficient and so that the people recruit are measured by standards that we can surveil and make sure that those standards are being met. But this is not easy, and you make it seem easy, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Ms. Boyd-Norena?
With the AI tech and the beacon mobility comms, that data and information is stored, housed where, and is shared with whom, if you know that?
Do you want to give him a background of why you're asking? No, I'm sorry.
Right,
Not
the
quite.
routing data is only shared with a parent through Skyward. So our school secretaries get a routing list. So the start of school year is usually the most hectic time as parents are looking for routing information. So they can always call the school office, and one of our office team members will be able to tell them their child's stop information. We do not broadcast that anywhere. With the technology that we're looking at, it would be a parent being able to key into an app to know the location of their child's bus. So right now, it's text messages that come out if a bus is running on a delay, and it's a text blast that goes out to all of the parents signed up to that bus. So the app, in my understanding, would allow a parent to have that app and that connection for their child only, authenticate that they are the person that has a right to that information, and be able to know and see where their child's bus is and if it's running on time or behind.
I look forward to more information about that.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. You had mentioned that you had reached a significant pay increase for the drivers. Can you share with us a little bit more about that?
So we concluded our negotiations last Thursday. The union has not voted the contractor yet, so I don't want to preempt anything, but it's a significant raise. It's a double-digit percentage raise to the drivers. And so it makes us competitive in this market. And our starting wage was $19 an hour this past year, and it's almost across the board, at least a $2 an hour raise.
Okay. I'm sure we'll hear more about that with contract approvals, and thank you.
All right. Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, thank you both for being here. I've lived down the street from that Merriam location for a long time, and I drive by, and most of the time I think, boy, I hope this institution never fails because we need those bus drivers. So seeing that sign that says hiring is always, it's good, but I hope that in the future we get those numbers that we need. Wanted to bring up something, but I don't want to dampen the mood. I know from experience, I hear it often that student behavior on buses can be challenging. I don't know if that's the right word for those bus drivers, and I really wanted just to understand how we as a school district, as a school community can do better amongst our students and just behave, because we hate to lose bus drivers because of behavior that is unsupervised outside of school and things of that nature. So just wanted to know what was being done there to maybe mitigate some of those issues, and I'm sure we could sit here for a while, but I just wanted to put it in the open.
Yeah, and Dr. Hubbard, do you want to start that, or Dr. Ziegler?
Please.
I'll let Dr. Ziegler.
Okay.
I mean, she deals with it more directly.
Okay.
Yeah, I've gotten to ride a few buses in my time, and I'm glad to do it. But one of the greatest things that we talk about at the start of the year with our building administrators is the importance of supporting our bus drivers. And we talk from our communication that starts with our parents when it's time to register to getting those routes going, the importance of partnership, not just with the schools, but with our parents and families and reinforcing bus expectation. If there are times, we do have a system in place so bus drivers can document misbehavior, and they go through training. They have monthly safety meetings, and we partner with the bus drivers. We have a fantastic staff here in the district to go and talk about positive behavior reinforcement, what that looks like, how to de-escalate behaviors, and how to also understand the unique needs of every learner, that however they present those uniqueness, so that we have that training and background for the drivers. But it's also a lot when a driver's responsible for driving a bus. There's a lot of mirrors, there's a lot of things happening, and first and foremost, their focus needs to be on the road. And so we do encourage our building administrators and partnering with the bus drivers, develop relationships with the drivers, get on the buses again throughout the year to help students understand that their behavior at school, it's an extension of school and what's expected on the bus. And so we do that, and we teach behavior. We teach behavior again, just like we do in classrooms and schools. And when we have areas of need, then we're getting on those buses and riding the buses from school administration or teachers, or requesting additional support and an aid.
I would also add, I have seen a lot of schools also include positive bus behavior in their, positive bus referrals in their behavior intervention systemic plan for the school.
Ms. Embry? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Osley, and then Ms. Embry?
Sure, yeah. My question was related to program goal support. I appreciate you. Apologies. I appreciate you continuing to keep us up to date on that. And I was just curious, I know the funding from the EPA ends in 2026. Do we think, or is there any indication that the infrastructure improvements that are necessary for that for our community, is there any chance that anything is going to align in which that 2026 deadline is not going to potentially be missed? Because I know that's outside the scope of our abilities to control, but it just, and I also recognize that it said that we were not identified as a priority, and I take umbrage with that for whoever made that decision, but also outside the scope of anyone's hands here. But it would be unfortunate if we were unable to meet that 2026 deadline for EPA dollars if the local infrastructure was not up to capacity. So do we have any idea on that?
I don't have a crystal ball, so don't hold me to this in its
Yes.
entirety. But the challenge with the EPA funding right now is what we would qualify likely for would be partial funding, and we would have to purchase buses through a rebate. So we would have to put the cost up and then see what we would qualify in terms of rebate. The other challenge, and the other piece to that is there are additional funding streams coming out through heavy-duty grants at the federal level that school buses will qualify under that. So I'm not sure that the 2026 would be a stop for us. I think there's additional funding that likely would be coming. But I don't know what the schedule would be for infrastructure improvements yet. We don't have a solid understanding of that.
Well, I will take a twinge of hope from the knowledge that it is potentially not a fiscal cliff in 2026 and that there are other grant opportunities. And I have faith that you guys will pursue them, but.
We will keep monitoring.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Ms. Embry?
Thank you. My question is probably not for DS bus folks, but more when I think about transportation in the many ways kids get to school, there's bus transportation, but there's also biking, walking, and sort of car drop-off lines. And one of the most common things I hear about is the path for my child to get to school safe? I'm concerned about the drop-off line and the safety of the drop-off line. So where do these other forms of transportation fit in how we think about getting our kids to school every day?
That is a fantastic question, and I might nudge my colleague, Dr. Neal. We've both had the opportunity to participate in some meetings. And a walk audit. And a walk audit in partnership through Bike Walk KC in conjunction with Johnson County Department of Health and Environment. They've convened community partners over the last year or so, maybe 2 years, around some grant dollars. And so we have a number of schools slowly that we're adding on to take advantage of those walk audits, where we go through and we look and provide feedback through Bike Walk KC to the local municipalities about safe routes to schools. So we're looking at lighting, we're looking at crosswalks, conditions of sidewalks, curbing, all of that. And then the schools get an audit, a map that provides those safe pathways through their neighborhoods to the schools.
Also, as part of our bond planning, in some instances, not every situation, but in some instances, there is a credit there for, extra wide sidewalks, some of those things. So we do look at those. And the Bike Walk KC app is phenomenal for the audit, and it really populates and gives a lot of great information. So we appreciate their partnership.
And on a positive note, we continue to get requests for additional bike racks, which is Dr. Gilhouse is one of his favorite things to make happen immediately.
Could I jump back into a little bit into the compensation question? And so you have mentioned a number of things, just trying to build that capacity to retain and recruit staff. So adding kind of a referral bonus, a sign-on bonus, trying to make some increases in base compensation. So you mentioned that you're feeling like it's getting closer to having a competitive wage with other industries. And so were there other pieces, so as the budget over the next 3 years and the contract to do the work, is that kind of built in, that capacity to try to sustain and retain staff from at least a compensation perspective? Looking at the contract and kind of moving out in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so the agreement we have on the table with them is a 3-year proposal, so we'll have fixed increases over the next 2 years after this year with the union. We include those costs, in our proposal to the district, and so that is included, yes.
Okay. And then you had also mentioned about legislation at the state level looking at the kind of the unemployment component over the summer season. And I know there was a bill, I recall a bill a couple years ago that actually tried for, I don't know, maybe 2 to 4 sessions to try to get that passed. Is that something that's still active? Do you all get involved in that kind of state level policy, or are you aware of that bill?
I'm not aware of anything that has passed recently. I think there is.
Yeah, nothing passed, unfortunately.
I think there was one recently, and the Teamsters brought it to our attention that they were working on also, which was that would allow employees who worked a partial bit of the summer to collect some additional unemployment money. But really, we don't have enough summer school or extra work during the summer, so if they're working, it's okay. Really, it's the people who aren't working that we sometimes will lose over the summer, or go look for optional other employment over the summer months. I think the discussions are still being had.
So that bill is maybe still being.
It's still being
constantly
discussed. I don't know its current location or where the discussions are.
Okay. And again, just is there a connection to, in that kind of looking at state level policy for things like fully funding special education? If you look at the budget more money is spent on providing services for students with disabilities than on our general education population, I think, in the budget allocation, if I'm reading this correctly. On the routes it's about the same. And so just getting that adequate funding for special education, is that, and again, I don't know to what extent you all are involved in state level policy.
I think in terms of the special education funding, that all comes through the district. So what we claim and what we take back in, that they don't see that. I mean, we pay what the invoices are, but that comes back through the district.
Okay. All right. Yep, Ms. Borden.
Question, you mentioned about the full-time recruiter. Is that person housed on your all's side? Do we share the person? Is that our?
That person's a DS employee.
Okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate you also really being open to all the feedback and the community responses and looking at ways to partner with our community to strengthen services and really kind of continuing to build on.
Well, you know, most of our drivers are part of this community.
That's right.
They live here. Their kids go to school here. They're part of the fabric of this community. And so, again, my hat's off to them for the job that they do each and every day, and Martha and her staff. But DS is a part of this community, and we continue to want to be part of that.
Yeah, I was at my nephew's baseball game, short anecdotal story, at my nephew's baseball game, and the bus driver came and watched the baseball. She kind of, got out and sat in the bleachers and was rooting for the kids, and then realized she was with one of the other high schools. Not the high school my nephew was playing on, but the other high school. But anyways, we had a fun time. She was great. She loved kind of doing those and kind of cheering and watching the games, and she was delightful. So anyways.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to BJ, Martha, and Dana, and drivers and aides. It's a big job, and you're transporting precious cargo, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, our last discussion item is on the strategic plan cycle 1, final report, item 3.3. Dr. Hubbard.
So yeah, as we close cycle 1 of the strategic plan, we just have a really quick update. We've been doing this, quarterly since we started 5 years ago, so this one's going to be really quick, and then just a little transition into cycle 2. Before she starts, just a quick thank you to Dr. Neal, who has been working relentlessly to close out 1 and then also kick off 2. So I will turn it to her to start.
Thank you, Dr. Hubbard, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here to wrap up cycle 1 and to really highlight, and I hope everybody that has been a part of this, we've had, action teams, we've had all, representing all of our constituents and community members, team members, students who have been a part of this work for the last 5 years. And so I wanted to just give a quick rundown tonight. I hope that everybody feels really proud of the work, because you may recall that we had a pandemic in the middle of it, and that didn't stop us. We might have just lightly tapped the brakes a little bit on some things, but we were able to power through, and that is a tribute to everyone who has contributed and been a part of this plan. So it's exciting, and I know you enjoy hearing from me, but you really enjoy hearing from others. So I'm going to quickly go through our accountability, where throughout, we have reported out via Gantt chart to share with our community and to be very transparent that we are doing the work and helping them see how that has been going through. There you see our mission. That mission, actually, reminder, will continue through into cycle 2. And if you could go on. This reminds us again, those 3 big objectives that we will continue to be working on around personalized learning, developing that personal resilience to lead to that college and career readiness, and then, of course, really important in terms of developing those interpersonal skills for our students. So in cycle 1, we had 5 strategies. The first strategy, certainly what we are, our primary business and what we are here to do, and that is around teaching and learning. So a few highlights there. You can see the Gantt chart, so you can see how we have completed that work. Very much of that, you'll see the purple, and that is really ongoing. So much of the work that we do, we might every so often complete it, but it might be things that are ongoing. We're going to continue to review, we're going to continue to update those kind of things. And so we have had a lot of hard work and a lot of great success in that teaching and learning around personalized learning, intentional feedback loops, certainly professional learning communities. Real-world learning work really got started and has really gained momentum, and around data-driven decision-making in that first strategy on teaching and learning. Our second strategy, you might recall, is around culture, developing that equitable and inclusive culture. This is where a lot of our work and effort was around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, making sure that that wasn't a standalone effort, but really embedding that and making that a part of who we are and how we do our work here in Shawnee Mission. Also highlights there around recruitment and retention efforts to expand and reach a broader, more diverse team to be here in Shawnee Mission. Strategy 3 around quality educators was the focus here. Again, in the intentionality of creating the Director of Professional Learning position, and so really focusing a lot on our professional learning. We had, again, a high focus on professional learning communities and helping to train our teams there, and some work around clear and consistent communication across the organization. And I think when you see our Cycle 2 coming back, you'll see a lot of continuation in many of these areas. Strategy 4 was around systems. Largely, the work in this particular strategy was around response to intervention, creating that wonderful guidebook that is a great resource for our team members here. And again, you can see a lot of work went into that to make sure that we were able to complete that. And then strategy 5, facilities. That, of course, has had a lot of excitement around the renovations and the rebuilds of the 5 elementary schools as part of the bond and many of the other projects. And so if you could go forward, we wanted voices in Shawnee Mission to help kind of just sum up the work that we have completed in Cycle 1.
It has been so exciting over the past 5 years to see the work of the first cycle of the strategic plan. It's come to life through various committees and initiatives to support the strategies outlined by our community. Let's take a look at a few of our accomplishments.
Specifically for kids, PLCs affect them. Our teachers are working towards their student achievement. They're looking at that data, and that's directly impacting students. I'll point to belonging again. We want our kids to feel a sense of belonging, and that work around DEIB is absolutely impacting students at that level.
We take accountability for all of our kids, and during PLC, we look at those kids that need intervention, not only because they're not achieving, but because they are achieving but not growing. Our data looked great. I think a lot of that is based on the relationships that the teachers build, the commitment that the parents have to get their children to school, and just all in all, the accountability of everybody in the building to make sure students are successful.
I actually ended up using those things that we talked about during the strategic plan during my first year, and I would say my first year was a complete success. Usually I hear that first year teachers are going to struggle, it's going to be super hard, it's going to be tough, you're going to struggle with the parents, and I honestly was like, wow, this was great. I hope every year is like this, so yeah.
The bond in Area 5 has been amazing. We have 5 brand new elementary schools. We have new renovations to our middle schools and high schools, and just other various improvements to our facilities that continue to make them state of the art.
I was on the committee that worked on moving teachers from teaching 6 hours at the secondary level down to 5. And for me, that has been huge. When you got all those kids, names, everything, all the grading and everything, it's a lot on a teacher emotionally, mentally, but if there's only 5 classes that you're teaching, it allows for you to have a deeper connection. At least once a week, I get to meet with every kid, talk to every single kid about, so these are the standards that we're learning. This is where you're at currently in your achievement level. This is where we want you to be at. And then we talk with each other and figure out what are the necessary steps that we need to take to reach that potential.
One of the most amazing aspects of the strategic plan is it provides a roadmap for all of us in the Shawnee Mission School District. I'm so excited to pass the baton to Dr. Schumacher.
Thank you, Dr. Hubbard. I'm looking forward to bringing the work of the steering committee to the board and seeing what we can accomplish together.
I would like to give a special shout out to partners, Kristen Babcock and Jordan in communications team for making fast work really of that at a very busy time. So we appreciate you very much, and all of the people that were willing to come in and give their thoughts. Dr. Hubbard, you want to give us a preview of what's next?
Absolutely. So Strategic Plan Cycle 2 action teams presented all of their work to the steering committee last Thursday, the 6th. And the steering committee reviewed and submitted a draft plan to myself and the cabinet, which we spent, I think 6 hours today reviewing and documenting. And then Dr. Neal and I finished the afternoon just editing and making sure it's done well and right, and making sure we have all the acronyms out of there because we're really good at that. And so on June 24th, we will be submitting the Cycle 2, 2024 through 2029 for you all to consider for approval. We're excited about the work. I'm exceptionally proud of the 6 action teams and the steering committee that has spent hours relentlessly and not always easy getting to where they landed. So I'm excited to be able to present that to you on the 24th. Yeah, on the 24th.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that work. Dr. Neal, thank you for shepherding all these kind of reporting processes and keeping us on path and keeping us on track on the Gantt charts and working with your colleagues on the leadership team. Also, thank you to Ms. Owsley and Ms. Hembury for serving on the steering committee. And for those of you who, fellow board members who were able to participate in that day-long update. I was in Little Rock, so I couldn't hear, but thank you all for being here and listening and being part of that. All right, any questions right now? All right, and kudos to the video special effects there. That was awesome. All right. Okay, that brings us to our consent items. And we have about 20-some general consent, no bond consent. So if there is no desire to pull any items, I need approval to approve items 4.1 through 5.21.
Move approval, Hembury.
All right, second?
Second, Borgman.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0. All right, action item 7.1, renewal of Discovery Education Experience Platform. Dr. Hubbard.
So I'm recommending renewal of Discovery Education Platform. This is a platform that is used really pre-K-12, and we've been using it. It has historically been associated with our science curricula, our science instructional resource. And we've changed instructional resources. However, this is a platform that is widely used for all contents, not just science. And so we will be replacing Learn 360, which we have used previously for this. And Discovery Education will be in the place of Learn 360. And this is a 3-year contract.
All right. So I need a motion to approve in a second.
Move approval, Hembury.
All right, second?
Second, Garcia.
Okay. Any questions or? Okay. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right. The next 3 are really kind of fun. It's June 10th, and we get to work our way towards item 7.4 on this action item list here. So let's start with 7.2, approval of administrative contracts for 2024.
So just real quickly, I want to make a statement about all 3. I agree that it's June 10th and we have all 3 of them, and I believe we'll have our other groups coming soon behind it. But I just want to say thank you to all the teams, both sides, the administrative team and then the teacher teams that have worked really hard and spent a lot of hours dedicated to the conversation. Again, those aren't always easy conversations, but they have come to agreement, and I'm really proud of them for that. I'm also really excited that the raise is really great for all of these groups, and it's always nice to be able to pay our people when we can do that. So starting with 7.02, recommend approval of all administrators to receive a 5.6 increase for 24-25 in their base salary. We do have some cases in which we made some market adjustments to appropriately maintain the market on a couple of different positions. So moving approval for that.
All right.
So moved, Ashley.
Second? All right. Any other comments, questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, 7.3, approval of classified salary schedules for 2024-25.
So I'm recommending the approval of a 5.6 base increase for 24-25, the classified salary schedule. And in addition to that, as you all know, we've worked really hard for the last several years to ensure that our classified staff, that we're competitive with the market, and not just the school market, but the market that we're competing with all around Johnson County. And so in addition to the 5.6, we are recommending an additional $1 million to put in the classified salary just to be competitive with the market. So this would equate to an additional base increase of 2.5% for 24-25. So an increase total of 8.1% on the base for classified salary schedule.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve? All right. Second?
Second, Boyd Nerona.
Okay. Any questions? Comments? Thank you for the work done for this group of employees. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And 7.4, ratification of our 2024-25 professional negotiated agreement with NEA Shawnee Mission.
Yeah, so recommending that the board ratify the professional negotiated agreement with NEA Shawnee Mission effective July 1 through June 30th, 2025. The P&A was ratified by the professional employees on May 28th, 2024. This provides an increase of 5.48 to 8.4% in overall compensation package for certified employees.
All right, motion to approve.
Move approval, Hembry.
All right, second.
Second, Garcia.
All right, any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right. That brings us to board comments, 8.1. Does anyone have anything they want to share before we close?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Westbrook.
I appreciate all the comments that were made this evening about the use of smartphones in the schools. I've distributed to school board members a gift tonight, which is a copy of a book called The Anxious Generation. It's a wonderful book by Dr. John Hyde, who is a scholar and has met all the academic standards one would expect and want to be met in scholarship about the effect of smartphones and other technologies on our young people. It's not a coincidence that throughout the Western world, when smartphones came along in 2010, there was a pretty quick plummet in the mental health of teenagers across the Western world, not just in the United States, but throughout Europe, throughout the United Kingdom, other parts of the world. And I think that we can't ignore the impact of smartphones on our kids. There are school districts that have banned smartphones from the classroom and from schools. Pretty radical step, serves the inconvenience of a lot of people, some say. But it's also been shown to be a pretty helpful thing to have happen. So I would just like to draw a line in the sand on this issue and say I think it's something we really need to talk about and discuss seriously. I don't know that it needs to be part of a strategic plan or a separate initiative, but I want to make a metaphor, and I want to ask your patience as I do. There were years ago when we had something called asbestos. It was a remarkably efficient construction material. It was used in a variety of mechanisms to make things less expensive, tidier, better to construct, easier to use. It turned out to be a carcinogen. And it turned out to be such a powerful carcinogen that there were actual federal laws requiring asbestos abatement in public facilities, including schools. I suggest to you today that if we found a school that had a large deposit of asbestos in it as we were renovating it to prepare it for coming years, we would immediately have an abatement program. We would be required to have that abatement program by federal policy. And we would take care to make sure that asbestos was not in the school that those kids are going to attend in the fall when they returned. I think smartphones today are the equivalent of asbestos. And I know that sounds radical. I know that sounds in some ways hysterical. I know that sounds like it's really, really extreme. But I want to be wrong, and I don't think I am wrong. I think that the evidence is pretty clear that smartphones create a toxic influence on our kids. Schools are at the intersection of this kind of technology. Schools have an opportunity to be instrumental in creating a safe and importantly positive environment for our kids. And so we get to step up and be leaders in this. And we can wait for evidence. It's already there. We can wait for others to demonstrate leadership. That's not Shawnee mission. That's not what we're all about. We are always happy to pioneer, to take the lead, to be innovative, and to be courageous. So I want to respectfully suggest to board members that you take a look at the book that I've bought for you, this is a real book. This is not something that was downloaded. This is not something that was brought to you through the internet. Smell it, it's actual paper. You know, it's real book. And I want you to feel slightly guilty if you just put this book on the shelf, if you don't put it on your nightstand, if you don't pick it up and take a look at it. It's powerful. And I think someday we'll look back and say, can you believe we actually had smartphones in schools and kids used them? It's like the 1960s when the tobacco industry wanted to have school programs to instruct kids on how to smoke. Really? We think of that today and think of that as being healthy? There is a major, huge industry behind this technology. And they have a very strong profit motive associated with making sure that kids incorporate a smartphone as part of their life, as an extension of their body, as a part of their psyche. And it's very dangerous. So I'm here to claim this is an issue that we need to address. There will be loud voices who will oppose what I'm saying. I think most parents, though, will welcome an opportunity for this to be regulated so that we set a standard, and kids who go home and sit at the kitchen table at dinner looking at their smartphone, with mom and dad tempted to do so as well, might find that the schools have set a standard that can influence things beyond just what happens in the school or in the classroom. You will forgive me for giving a speech. You'll forgive me for grandstanding. You'll forgive me for being passionate about this. But this, my friends, is serious stuff. And we need to deal with it. We need to deal with it in a mature and urgent manner. So I'll end my remarks, but I think you can tell by the passion that I associate with these remarks, this is really important to me. It's not just important to me because of what I represent here on the school board. I think it's important to all of us that we face it with sober and detached truthfulness. So enough of my speech. I appreciate your listening. I appreciate most of all if you'll take just a few minutes to read Dr. Hyde's book, or at least read the overarching introduction to it. You'll see that he addresses not only smartphone technology, but the whole issue of how kids play today, how we're raising our kids, not at school, but just the stuff that is interfering with kids and their opportunity to have unsupervised play, to take risks, to fall down on the playground and maybe get up without being really badly harmed, but get up and understand what risk-taking is all about. This is really powerful stuff. So I rarely will do this, but I've been here 6 months on this school board. I've been a patron of this school district and a former employee of it and a student of it from K-12. I really care about this, and I very much appreciate your serious consideration of what I've had to share. Thank you.
Anyone else want to share a board comment? Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, just wanted to express my congratulations to all those students who've graduated, the class of 2024. Being a part of those ceremonies was very special, and just happy to be sitting up here, but even more so, happy to see some of those faces walk across that stage with so much joy and get to celebrate with those families. So congratulations, and can't wait to see what you all accomplish in the future.
All right. Barring anyone else, I believe that concludes our meeting for this evening. We have our next upcoming meeting will be held June 25th, 2024. And, oh, June 24, sorry, yeah, okay, June 24th. Apologize, thank you.
And it will be Dr. Hubbard's
And
next meeting.
it will be, yes, and can we share that we might have a little reception at 5 o'clock?
You're the board president.
Okay, so,
Start a rumor.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, heard on the down low.
So we will be, yes, Dr. Hubbard this will be her last meeting, as it will be Dr. Gilhouse's last meeting. We will have a reception starting at 5 o'clock, correct? For Dr. Hubbard. I think it's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, oh, I'm sorry, 4 o'clock, yes.
For Dr. Hubbard and
And
Dr.
Dr. Gilhouse at 4 o'clock, I'm sorry. Okay, team effort here.
Look what you've done to her.
At 4 o'clock, preceding the meeting, yes, in the entryway of the CAA. Wow, that was really painful. Okay. But we got there. Okay, meeting concluded. Thank you all.